Russia is slowly advancing towards the Ukrainian town of Bakhmut in Donbass, while Moscow accuses Kyiv of striking the Russian city of Belgorod. NATO will hold long-planned training exercises of their nuclear forces at a time of huge tension as Moscow continues its war in Ukraine. The World Health Summit opens in Berlin with the head of the World Health Organization saying that healthcare is a fundamental right, not a luxury.
Heavy fighting continues in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk and Luhansk regions, with the most difficult taking place near the town of Bakhmut. Officials in Donetsk, which remains under Russian separatist control, have blamed Ukraine for a rocket attack that did significant damage to the city's mayor's office. According to the separatist authorities, 4 people were injured. In his nightly address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky admitted the key hotspots in Donbass are Soledar and Bakhmut, and added that there are around 2,000 released Russian prisoners fighting for the Russian armed forces there as mercenaries. The Russian Belgorod region bordering Ukraine was once again hit by strikes on Sunday. The local governor said more than 20 homes were damaged. The city had until recently rarely been hit, unlike the surrounding region. The attacks come in the wake of Friday's strikes on an electric substation in Belgorod and Saturday's gun attack at a military training ground in which 11 people died. Moscow has described that as a terrorist attack. Meanwhile, in the town of Izium in the east, the shadow of war still hangs over the city after its recapture by the Ukrainian army. Volunteers have been bringing a small touch of normality, food parcels, including chocolate, an unseen luxury after months of deprivation.
NATO and Russia are set to hold long-planned separate training exercises of their nuclear forces at a time of huge tension as Moscow continues its war in Ukraine. NATO's annual training mission, called Steadfast Noon, begins today with warplanes that can drop atomic bombs flying over the UK, the North Sea and Belgium. The US and 13 other nations are participating in the NATO exercises, which have been conducted annually for over a decade. The Russian exercises, called Grom, which roughly translates into thunder, are also conducted every year, normally in late October. It's an opportunity for Moscow to test its nuclear-capable bombers, submarines and missiles. But the Pentagon is accusing Moscow of being irresponsible for going ahead with the tests while at war with Ukraine. Both sides are expected to monitor each other closely. Health is a fundamental right, not a luxury. That's the message from the head of the World Health Organization at the opening of the World Health Summit in Berlin. He argued that health should be seen as a means to enable greater development.
What does it mean to take global health to the next level? A new global agreement, a new global architecture, and a new global approach. Because health is not a cost. It's an investment. It's not simply an outcome of development, but the means. Health is a fundamental human right. It's not a luxury.
Hosting the summit, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz promised additional funding to combat various diseases in developing countries. He said the German government will continue to actively support research driven by scientific curiosity. The Pact for Research and Innovation is set up for this, as well as our pledge to further increase funding for research and development to 3.5% of gross national product by 2025. The world is still reeling from the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic, which health experts say has taught the world a clear lesson: that there is an urgent need to strengthen a global health approach to prevent inequalities between rich and poor nations.
Chinese President Xi Jinping hailed the Communist Party's rule and defended its COVID policies as he opened his party's 5-yearly Congress. Thousands of hand-picked delegates are set to rubber stamp his bid to rule for a historic third term. The Chinese leader took the opportunity to address the current situation in Taiwan from his perspective. Resolving the Taiwan question is a matter for the Chinese, a matter that must be resolved by us. We will continue to strive for a peaceful reunification with the greatest sincerity and the utmost effort. But we will never promise to renounce the use of force, and we reserve the option of taking all necessary measures. Meanwhile, the US Navy's only forward-deployed aircraft carrier arrived in nearby Philippines on Friday for a routine port visit. Truck-mounted launchers blasted off rockets, and US stealth fighter jets streaked across the northern Philippine sky last week at a drill in the latest display of American firepower in a region where Washington has tried to deter what it wants as China's growing aggression.
Former Chinese Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli has appeared in public for the first time since tennis star Peng Shuai last year alleged he forced her into sex during a years-long relationship. Zhang was once the Communist Party's number 7 official, but has kept a low profile since China's most public #MeToo scandals. Peng posted the allegation on social media before later taking it back. Funerals for the miners killed in a coal mine explosion in northern Turkey are taking place after rescuers found the body of the last missing miner. At least 41 people died in the blast, which left 28 more injured. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan sparked anger by referring to the deaths as fate and the result of the type of accident that will always draw a storm of criticism.
Just days after taking office, the UK's new Chancellor Jeremy Hunt says nothing is off the table when it comes to revising the government's economic policies. Hunt's appointment on Friday has been seen as a last-ditch effort by Prime Minister Liz Truss to reassure markets and her own Conservative Party after being forced to reverse course on a major part of her tax-cutting plan. While Conservative MPs have welcomed Hunt's appointment, the seasoned Cabinet Minister warned on Sunday that there will be difficult decisions ahead.
It was a mistake when we're going to be asking for difficult decisions across the board on tax and spending to cut the rate of tax paid by the very wealthiest. It was a mistake to fly blind and to do these forecasts without giving people the confidence of the Office for Budget Responsibility saying that the sums add up. And the Prime Minister's recognised that. That's why I'm here. And what we need now is for me to show Parliament and the markets that we can make our tax and spending plans add up.
But whether Tories still have the confidence of voters is an open question.
I mean, they seem to be going from one extreme to another. No long-term policies, really. It all seems to be knee-jerk stuff. And what we need is long-term policies that have got, hopefully, sort things out.
But in the face of a cost of living crisis, the leader of the opposition Labour Party, Keir Starmer, says the Conservatives are at the end of the road.
But even they know she can't fix the mess that she's created. And deep down, her MPs know something else. They no longer have a mandate from the British people.
Hunt has suggested he may revise much of Truss's original mini-budget when he announces the new budget on October 31st. He also warned of public spending cuts but said there won't be a return to the austerity policies of the previous decade.
At least 4 people have died and 9 others injured after a prison notorious for keeping political prisoners and anti-government activists was engulfed by a huge fire in the Iranian capital, Tehran. An Iranian official said rioters set fire to a warehouse which caused the blaze, but confirmed all flames have now been put out. He said the rioters were separated from other prisoners to de-escalate the conflict. A prosecutor in the capital said that peace had returned to the prison. A protest broke out on the streets soon afterwards, with many chanting "Death to the dictator," a reference to the supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. There has been exactly 1 month since the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini. She was arrested by Iran's morality police in Tehran for violating the Islamic Republic's strict dress code. Iran has seen an unprecedented wave of protests since her death. At least 233 protesters have been killed in the last 4 weeks.